Media Dodger, Media Dodger. He doesn't perform a dodge, which makes his name exceptionally odd. But he treks through the great and bad. It's 50-50, he's so rad. Good times and bad are had, but that's what he gets for being. And don't forget, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger.
Let's go back to the early days of the Wii. With Wii Sports! Yeah, we're talking about a good game. Well, to be more specific, we'll be looking at a series that started with a good game. If you never heard of Wii Sports, then I'm required to hold you prisoner so you'd watch this whole video. It's for your sake, okay? I don't want you to become just a bunch of uncultured swines. Okay, but being serious, let me take you back to when my family first got the Nintendo Wii. I was really young. I don't think I was even 5 yet, but I remember that big white slab, those controllers that looked like TV remotes. And there was one game that came bundled with the Wii, and that was Wii Sports. So, naturally, it was the first game my older brothers played. I'm not sure I got to play as much because, after all, it was one of my first exposures to the world of gaming. Well, maybe that's not entirely true. My older brothers had the original Xbox, and I've seen them play games like Star Wars Battlefront, but Wii Sports was definitely a way new thing. Every now and then, we'd pop it into our Wii, well, in my case it's a Wii U now, and then we'd get right into the sports. It was love at first sight, very innovative in allowing the use of motion controls through the Wii Remote. If you've played video games long before this one, you're more than likely adjusted to the standard hand controllers. But the Wii Remote is different, in that not only can you play the game one-handed, but the way you move it is how you control the game, and it's different for each sport. At the start, you only had 5 sports. Tennis, you're swinging the racket to return the ball and make sure the opponent can't return it. Baseball, you and the opponent take turns batting and pitching, but running and fielding, that's automatic, meaning it's a lot more luck-based than real baseball. You can throw different types of pitches by holding different buttons on the Wii Remote, so it's a lot of fun to try out on your opponent. Bowling seems to be a crowd favorite. It controls decently enough on the Wii, but the spin control is something you'll have to try and adjust to if you want to get close to a perfect 300 score. I bet you've bowled better on the Wii than in real life. Don't bother denying it. I'm not. Golf. Honestly, my least favorite. I'm sure golf can be a relaxing game in real life, and I mean to play, not really to watch. But the thing that ruins it for me is the controls. Oh gosh, the controls. The swinging is so spontaneous. When I go to swing, it's usually either too soft or too hard. I can never tell how I'm supposed to swing the club in order to get the shot I want. Yeah, I know how to play, but whether it's 3-hole, 9-hole, my butthole, I can't play it.
Nice approach!
Wow, that was pretty close to an eagle. Boxing. Some people take issue with how you can't control it, but me, I got no problems. This has always been one of my favorites. Nothing could be more satisfying than punching your opponent in the ring. You connect the nunchuck, and you start throwing punches. But look, I'm hitting below the belt. How is that allowed? Cassius Clay never hit below the belt, so why would I? There's also training. Each of the sports have 3 different training games. It's an interesting way to improve your ability in these sports, especially bowling with picking up spares and spin control. Golf? Good luck improving on golf, especially with its weirdly sensitive controls. And the target practice, the game just laughs at you for even trying. By playing these training modes, you can also get different medals. Best you can get is Platinum. If you manage to get Platinum in golf's target practice, you deserve a real Platinum medal. So overall, it's a good pack-in game for the system. It was cool and innovative with the whole motion control thing and all, but what if you wanted more? What if your heart desired for more content? Well, 3 years after the original, they made Wii Sports Resort. Now here's an interesting thing about Wii Sports Resort. In order to play Wii Sports Resort, you need to connect this thing called a Wii Motion Plus accessory. The game provides instructions on how to attach this accessory. You can either find it on YouTube or just by inserting the game into your console for the first time. Just follow the instructions on how to connect the accessory, which is pretty simple, and there you go, it's connected. There are a few other games that utilize the Wii Motion Plus accessory, though not that many, but they eventually came out with something called the Wii Remote Plus, which was basically just a Wii Remote with Wii Motion Plus built inside. Extra convenient because that means no extra assembly required. Does Wii Motion Plus enhance anything? Well, Wii Sports Resort is like a second half to a whole circle, with the original Wii Sports being the first half.
Nice jump!
That's because while bowling and golf are also part of the resort, the other sports are out of the lineup, and there's no training mode. But they make up for it with plenty of new sports and even variations of sports. Regular tennis is replaced with table tennis, which even comes with a return challenge where you have to return as many balls as possible. This is such a fun mode, I'm returning so many! Eat your heart out, Forrest Gump! Here comes the new ping pong champ! As for the others, you can compete in a swordplay duel. The first opponent to fall off the ring loses. There's also Speed Slice, where you gotta be the first to slice the object in the right direction. There's even a single player campaign, where you're just walking through each stage, smacking the crap out of everyone in sight. I've always loved sending them off the ledge. The Wii Motion Plus allows you to recalibrate your controller when necessary, and in the case of swordplay and table tennis, you can recenter your sword or paddle by pressing down on the control pad. You know what I call that? Fair. Basketball. I think it's ridiculous that you gotta start with a 3-point contest before you can actually compete 3-on-3 in a pickup game. But the way you shoot is much like how it is with real life. Sometimes you make a basket, other times you don't. But then here's the deal with dunking. Most of the time you score, but it's also unpredictable. Ooh! Then there's wakeboarding, where you're riding the wave, landing as many jumps as possible. Sweet, fun, relaxing. Archery is another nice one. Pull back, release, and hit the target. What's interesting about this one is that you normally hold the Wii Remote in your right hand and the nunchuck in your left. This one's the opposite, as can be seen in this image before you start the game. I think it could be done either way, but I'm just following the images here. I guess it's supposed to be like the Wii Remote is the bow and the nunchuck is the arrow. Frisbee. There's 2 different versions of Frisbee. One is where you throw the Frisbee as close to the target as possible and the dog catches it. Then there's Frisbee Golf. Just like regular golf, except you're throwing a Frisbee. You can either play this golf or normal golf. There's even 9 new holes for the resort version in addition to the 9 classic holes from the original. You can even play a complete 18-hole game if you want. Now, about my skill with the Frisbee, well, I picked the automatic style. Enough said. But if you want to see how I do it with the manual, well, roll the clips. triple bogey on the first hole. I suck at this. To speak on the sports they brought back from the original, golf has the 18-hole course as mentioned before, and it has a new way to control your swing. It's a bit more sensitive when you first play, but soon you'll learn to let that white bar on the shot meter determine how hard your swing would be. You also got to keep the Wii Remote straight as you swing. It's a bit more like reality, and once you get used to it, it could make for a better golf experience than the original. With bowling, it's kind of the same as the original. It controls just about the same, but there's also two other variants. First is the 100-pin bowling, where there's 100 pins. Ooh! But that also means it's harder to get a strike on this. There's a trick to getting an automatic strike that involves letting the ball roll across the gutter wall without falling off until it presses a button at the end that triggers an explosion sound effect and all the pins fall down. But it's too tricky for me to even try for this episode. The other variant is spin control, which was a training mode in the original, now turned into a 10-frame game. One thing I find annoying is how I only get one strike on the first frame, and it automatically bumps me up to an expert lane, and it still gives me an expert lane after I only get a spare on the second frame, and then another expert lane when I don't get a spare on the third frame. Artificial difficulty here is kind of broken. There's even this one lane which is labeled intermediate. That's their idea of intermediate? This seems more like expert to me. You really gotta curve that ball in order to have any chance. Oh, and the last frame is completely open, free of obstacles. 115. I'd be lucky to bowl that in real life, even without the obstacles. Other sports include power cruising, where you're cruising through the checkpoints as quick as possible. You hold the Wii Remote and nunchuck like they're the handlebars, and you turn them like such. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty fun. But then compare this with cycling, which is pretty boring. You just alternate between moving the Wii Remote and nunchuck up and down to pedal, and if you do it fast, you get a burst of speed. But you can't pedal too long at a time or else your hearts drop, and once you run out, you'll have to temporarily stop to catch your breath. Wow, I just won the race after losing all my energy. But what's going on with my leg right here? Canoeing is way more boring. You're just paddling the Wii Remote. I hardly ever bothered with this sport even as a kid. Yeah, it sucks. But the air sports are great. You can skydive by linking up with the others and getting your pictures taken. Just make sure to face the camera for extra points.
Okay, everyone, form up.
Alright, time to form up. The wind is most certainly not in your favor. Crap, I missed the first ring! Oh well, that was still good. There's also Island Flyover, where you're flying through the island trying to collect as many eye points as possible. You can find them at various different landmarks around the island, all based on the different sports, like the basketball court, the swordplay coliseum, bowling alley, and even this area for archery. Ow, that had to hurt! And my guy's not even wearing a helmet. He had to have gotten a serious concussion from that. Funny enough, there's also these tennis courts right near the pool patio where table tennis is played. What a tease. There's regular tennis courts, but if you want to play tennis on the Wii, you have to go to the original Wii Sports. If you decide to fly away from the island, you can visit Golf Island. I know it's actually named Wedge Island, but I'm calling it Golf Island. I mean, this is where golf is played, just on this one island, and there's actually a hotel there. A place like this where there's a lot of golf going on sounds like a great place for a retirement home. After all, what retiree wouldn't want to spend their time with some golf? By collecting eye points, you can unlock all sorts of things, like being able to fly at different times of day, and being able to shoot balloons. At night, you can even see everything lit up, once you get enough eye points, that is. So you're really going to have to look just to get the eye points, but make sure you get the ones that don't have a check mark over it, only the fresh ones get recorded. That way, you won't be counting the same ones twice. By having to fly all around the island to get the new eye points, that means flying through really dangerous spots. There's these caves you can enter, which are pretty tight spaces, but you may as well go in if you want to keep those records. But then look at this cave in particular. Stop reading this and pay attention to not crashing. Ah! It at least warned me, but how was I supposed to pay attention while I've got to read something? Eye points are at these firework launch zones also. You can't fly over here at night. You can't tell me what to do! Ah! You can even go into the volcano! Holy heck. Apparently, this volcano's been active for 200 years, and it still hasn't erupted. Great vacation spot. Being near an active volcano, sure it hasn't erupted yet, but if you were a tourist looking for a nice vacation spot, would you really want to go to this island? What if that volcano finally decides to erupt? But there's something I gotta mention about these last 4 sports. They all have some kind of versus mode. Well, in the case of air sports, it's called dogfight, but you can't even play those alone. Now, may I ask why? All the other sports would have had to play against a computer opponent. How come the same thing couldn't apply to these sports? I'd have loved to show you these modes, but I can't. But man, what a great collection of games. We went wakeboarding, bowling, golfing, jet skiing, canoeing, biking, flying, skydiving, we played archery, basketball, ping pong, threw the frisbee, beat each other with light batons, and just earlier we were also playing tennis, baseball, and boxing. What a great duology of games. I have a hard time imagining one without the other. Alright, it's time to step it up to HD on the Wii U. Yeah, let's play Wii Sports Club. I never owned this game as a kid, but let's try it out. Well, this isn't much of an upgrade. This version requires the use of Wii Motion Plus, which in and of itself isn't really an issue. But look at the sports lineup. Tennis, bowling, golf, baseball, and boxing. Doesn't this look familiar? It's the same sports lineup as the original. Okay, there's different variations, like in Resort, got it. Though that mainly seems to go for bowling, but it's just the standard 10-pin game with 100-pin and spin control as variations. It's literally just bowling from Wii Sports Resort, but it controls just fine, so that's okay. Golf has 9 extra holes for the Wii U, plus the ones from the original and from Resort, but the maximum hole count per game is still 18, letting you play any 2 of those 3 sets. Actually, that's not really a bad thing, because could you imagine playing 27 holes in a row on the Wii U? I couldn't even play a 9-hole game, and I'm willing to bet I still couldn't make it past just 3 holes, and that's something I haven't tried. But I sure am hating how this controls. What you do is, you place the Wii U gamepad on the floor, and this is where crap really hits the fan. It's already hazardous because you'd have to be careful not to step on the gamepad. You gotta aim the Wii remote at the gamepad while you play. It looks cool, but trust me, it isn't. You look like an idiot for even trying to play this. What especially irks me is that you can't look at the TV screen while you play because the shot meter is on the gamepad. It doesn't even display the shot meter on the TV until you actually take your shot, which I learned the hard way. Look at that curve! If golf from the original Wii Sports already ticked you off, this is like a torture device commonly practiced in Airstrip 1. I guess it's trying to lean more toward Wii Sports Resort while also adding the element of the gamepad, but it just doesn't work. It's so annoying! Ah! Baseball. Boy, do I have some words for baseball. Poop, crap, defecation, diarrhea, number 2, dump. Okay, that's enough. Besides, the only terrible thing about this is the batting. If you played the original, this feels nothing like the original. Absolutely nothing. You may as well not even try. It's meant to be a lot closer to actually swinging a baseball bat, but the swinging is delayed beyond belief. Why would you want a swinging delay in a baseball game, least of all a motion-controlled baseball game? And if by some miracle I do end up hitting the ball, it doesn't go very far. I managed to get a single at best, but that's just luck. Most of the time, it just hits the ground and bounces into the fielder's mitt, making it an easy out. Or if it's going to the outfield, it doesn't even bounce. And then check this crap out.
Strike! Batter out!
Strikeout? That's not a strike! That's a foul ball! Grow brain, ump! How could you count that as a strike? The ball touched the bat! It's a foul ball! Did they even test this crappy game out before releasing it? In contrast, pitching and fielding is actually better. You get to use the Wii U gamepad, and the way it handles the pitching is how you do it right. instead of what would be attempted for Star Fox Zero much later. You figure out what kind of pitch you want to throw, charge it up to throw faster, and aim with the gamepad. What's even cooler is how you catch the ball once it's in the air. You aim the gamepad to make sure the ball stays in the circle for a good catch. So yeah, if you're batting, you're playing ball like a girl. But if you're pitching and fielding, you're okay. Tennis is basically just tennis, though it controls more like table tennis from Resort, but that's not a bad thing at all. It's still playable. Boxing, however, oh man, if you're talking about struggling to control boxing in the original Wii Sports, you haven't played this version. Right at the beginning, I already don't like it. You have a choice between one-handed or two-handed boxing. Why would you ever want to pick one-handed? It's like the other hand is paralyzed or something. I guess it's good for people who can only use one hand, but it controls like total garbage. It's better to play two-handed. But here's the weird part. If you want to play two-handed, you need 2 Wii remotes with Wii Motion Plus. 2 Wii remotes? Was it really not enough to just use the nunchuck? You really gotta connect a second controller just to play it correctly? It's not that much better. Okay, maybe it is, but it's a lot less responsive than the original boxing. They try to spice it up with this dizzy element. If you hit your opponent enough times, they'll be dizzy and unable to throw punches for a little bit. That's fine and all, but I punch Elena a bunch of times to make her dizzy. Fine, whatever, but she manages to punch me less times and somehow I get dizzy. Why am I dizzy now? Doesn't matter since I still managed to knock her out. One good thing I will say is that they brought back the training mode. Some of them are pretty cool, like Whack-A-Mole Tennis, and pretty much all the bowling training modes. Yeah, you got picking up spares like in the original, but there's also tricky pins, where the pins are arranged in crazy patterns and you gotta knock them all down. That's actually pretty cool, but it takes a lot of practice. Then there's a variant on the 100 pins where you play through 7 lanes, 3 chances to knock them all down for each. And the pins are all arranged in a different pattern to resemble an object, such as a heart, maybe even a screwed up looking Triforce. How about this flag? Since all the pins are white, might as well give a white flag to surrender to the challenge. But this minigame is too much fun, so I'm not doing that. But golf and boxing, neither of them have any fun training games, for one sole reason alone: the control. Like Chip In Bingo, where, you just try to get 5 in a row with these controls. Just try it. Just freaking try it! Not hooray. In boxing, there's Plate Smasher, where the object is to smash up a bunch of floating plates. And then we have Picky Puncher, where you gotta use the correct hand to punch the bags. There's even some that you have to punch with your left first, then the right. Screw them. Screw them so freaking hard to the wall with a power drill. Baseball only has one good training mode. It's the pitching mode. You throw the ball at one of those prize cubes, and then try to catch whatever flies out.
Yeah, I just caught a soccer ball in my tiny mitt.
But there are smaller things to catch, like a tennis ball, a golf ball, and a billiard ball. But then here's something completely random.
Amazing!
I just caught a Big Mac. I mean, how could you mistake it? It's a Big Mac. There's the bun, like right in the middle. It's a Big Mac. The home run contest in Wall Breaker, however, you're going to be using the bat, which basically means no fun. I did find out, however, that if I recenter my bat while it's in a certain position, then try swinging, it could make hitting home runs a bit easier, but it's still not fun. Wall Breaker, you may as well just bunt the whole time. It could just be I'm a can't hack it panty waist who wears his mama's bra, or maybe it's the awful delay, but I can never seem to hit the ball, whether the game recognizes my swing or not. Seriously, anytime the ball does hit my bat, it's usually a very weak hit that goes as a foul ball, or doesn't go far enough. Come on, pee drinking crap face! Pus licker, fart smeller. You eat dog crap for breakfast! You bopper apples the toilet, and you like it! You play ball like a girl! You'd think an updated version of Wii Sports really would be a big deal, but they just messed it all up. How'd they let this happen? How could they do this to such a big name? Well, with the Wii U's discontinuation, the name Wii Sports is kind of a thing of the past. But people very fondly remember the franchise, and the internet has given it a sort of cult status. People play the games to challenge themselves with certain tasks, or even just to make jokes about it while playing. Even though the name Wii Sports can't really be used for game titles anymore, it's still going strong to this day. And even without the Wii Sports name, there is still one more game left in the catalog. Nintendo Switch Sports. Could this be the redeemer of the franchise? Roll the montage.
Nice shot.
Can I say it's as classic as the original games? Well, not exactly, but this is good. First thing to note, the default characters aren't Miis anymore. Instead, they're called Sportsmates. Well, you can still have the Miis be your character, so it's not really a big deal. Let's delve into it for real this time. It's got 7 sports, with 4 of them returning from the Wii. You can play bowling, golf, tennis, and then there's Chambara, which is basically swordplay duel. There's not as much content though. Yeah, bowling does have the special lanes, which is like a version of spin control with new obstacles to face, but no 100 pin. Also, bowling still controls just fine, but here's a difference. In the other games, you hold the B button to get ready to roll the ball. You swing it back, and then forward like a real bowling ball, then you release B to throw. On the Switch though, you can't let go of the trigger button until after you throw it. Maybe it's not 100% strange because Wii Sports Resort has an automatic throw setting for bowling where you just hold the button and don't let go, but I'm much more accustomed to manual, and it would have been nice to have that as an option, you know, like Wii Sports Resort did. Not like it hinders the Switch experience much anyway, you can get used to it. Yeah, the Joy-Con does have a slightly different feel from the Wii Remote, but it's not too big of a difference to really affect gameplay. Tennis is just tennis. Not much to say. Golf probably has the best control on the Switch compared to any of the Wii versions. It feels much more natural. I still need practice with this, but it's pretty cool. Chambara has 3 different sword types for you to use. One is the regular 2-handed sword from Wii Sports Resort. The second is a charged sword that you hold with one hand like you're fencing. Basically, this charged sword gains energy when you block an attack. Once it's full, you can use a charged attack to really send your opponent back. The last type is a dual sword, which requires the use of both Joy-Cons. What's interesting here is that you can only block with one sword at a time, and you can't swing the other sword while you're already blocking. The programmers probably wanted to keep things fair. Unlike the charged sword, which only charges when you block an attack, this one charges automatically. Once it's full, you can swing both Joy-Con down for a more powerful attack. Oh, and here's a difference. If your attack gets blocked in Wii Sports Resort, you'll momentarily lose your footing, but you can still block during that time. But here, you can't. Now, may I ask why? This kind of thing results in a guaranteed hit that sends you back. Now, what about the 3 new sports? Well, there's volleyball, where you and your teammate had to bump, set, and spike in order to hit the ball over the net. It's fine, I guess, but the game's always instructing you on what move you gotta do next, whether it's blocking or bump, set, and spike, and there's no way to turn it off. Badminton is honestly my least favorite. If I could get a little rhythm bouncing the shuttlecock back and forth, it's fine, but sometimes my character trips. It takes ages to get up. By the time you're standing again, your opponent's already scored. You think your character's shoelaces are tied together. If you want me to tell a joke about the shuttlecock, then please donate some money. If I can get enough, I might send a rooster into outer space. Soccer is the best one of the new sports, not overall. You can play soccer 1-on-1 or 4-on-4. Either way, the idea is obviously to kick this giant soccer ball into the opponent's net. Seriously, that soccer ball is about as tall as your character. What a beast! 4-on-4 especially can make for an intense game of soccer. Soccer also has a mode where you get to use this thing called the leg strap. Yeah, a leg strap. All you do is just attach this leg strap to your leg, and then you just slide the controller in, and there you go. This mode is called Shootout, and the object is simply to kick the ball into the net as many times as possible. And as you'd imagine, you'd be lifting your leg up like this to kick the ball. Just like that, just lift up your leg. That's how you kick. You're up against the opponent, and let's talk about the CPU opponents. The older games has you progressively gain or lose skill level for each sport based on your performance. But this one removes the skill level progression and replaces it with 3 levels of CPU difficulty. And in Soccer Shootout, if you play it on the hardest setting, the opponent makes every single goal, making it nearly impossible to beat them. It's like you gotta have patience to beat the opponent. Last thing to mention, this game is very online centered. If you play the game online with other players, you can earn extra customization options for your avatar, including clothes and also sports equipment. That's really one of the only ways you can get more of this stuff to customize your character. So you'd better get to paying for those Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions. The Wii Sports series has had an interesting run. It started off strong when it first came out, it got a good sequel, but then an HD remake on the Wii U to mess things up, only to set things back on track on the Nintendo Switch. All in all, I'll always have the best memories with the original 2 games. There's something about them that has all kinds of charm that really makes for a great experience, not like many others. Their well-defined controls, their overall design, the fact that they're easy to pick up and play. If you come up to me and ask, do you remember Wii Sports? I'd say something like, absolutely. Because you see, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. These 2 titles on the Wii are legends, both to me and to the internet.